We started the process of building our custom home on 20 acres of land almost 2 years ago. Today, we're going to dive into why exactly we decided to take things slow and why it's been one of the best decisions for us. When we first bought our property, we were over the moon excited, as anyone would be. When you make a big purchase like that and it's something you've been looking forward to for years, of course, you're going to be so excited. We would walk our property over and over again, deciding where exactly we were going to put the house. We even had an excavator out to take a look and see where they thought would be the best place. But over time, reality started to set in. We started to realize that there were 3 really big factors that were impacting our decision of whether or not we should continue to move forward or if we should take a step back and take things slow. Those 3 things were, first, finances. It's always about money, right? Second, the condition of our property. And third, the current state of our home. So let's talk about the financial reality first. At the time, we were living in our current home for just under 5 years, and we were so close to paying off our current mortgage. We started to really think about how great it would feel if we didn't have a mortgage payment at all, and that money could just easily roll into a savings account to then start saving up for our future home. Now, if I'm being honest, we've always been pretty smart financially. This would have been one of the first times that we were really starting to act on our emotions. We were so excited for a home. We couldn't wait to have more space, and we were just sort of lost in the dream, if you will. Once we started to do a little bit of investigation of how much our new home was going to cost us, we started to realize that maybe this wasn't quite the right step. At the time, our mortgage was about $1,400. And when we started to do the investigation of how much a new home was going to cost us, if we would have started building at that exact time, our mortgage would have been nearly $4,000 a month. And that just did not sit right with us. We could have afforded it. We had the finances for it. We have great paying jobs. It would have worked out fine. To be honest, we live a pretty financially flexible life right now. We can purchase things when we want to purchase them. We can do fun activities with our children if we feel like we want to do them. And we are very intentional about what we buy, when we buy it, and how often we're spending money. I didn't want to put ourselves in a position where we were having to review our finances on a regular basis and starting to live paycheck to paycheck. And that could have been our reality. Going from a manageable payment to something that could have overwhelmed us, especially with interest rates at the time being sky high the way they were, that would have really overwhelmed us, and I don't think it would have been the right choice. The second reason why we decided to wait on building our custom home was because of the condition of our land. So when we first bought the land, it wasn't exactly in the condition for building right away. I will never forget the first time we drove on the property. I drive a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and we drove on the property, and out the windows, the grass was as tall as the windows of my Jeep. It felt like we were driving through the jungle. So obviously our first step was that we needed to really start doing some property cleanup. We started to cut the grass down, we did regular mowing, and as we started to do those things, we started to uncover more and more items and issues that we needed to resolve before we'd actually be able to build. There was so much junk and trash that was left behind all over the property. We would find random ropes and cords and plastic cups and rubber tires and all sorts of things that we needed to remove. We also started to realize that there were tons of rocks everywhere. The 20 acres that we have is mostly open field. We have a small section of woods, and in that section of woods is a ton of cruddy brush. The trees are honestly not that great, but they're still trees. We need to go through and clear a lot of that brush in the trees in order to really have our property be ready for a build. This really wasn't a huge deal. Most of the time, your builder will actually charge you for tree clearing, and if you're not going to do it yourselves. But this was one of those areas where we knew that we could do this work, especially when you saw the quotes for $8,000 to $10,000. That was easily something that we could take on ourselves and give us an excuse to get out to the land, explore it more, and really start to think more about that vision. So all in all, we decided that we were going to take it slow and tackle the cleanup ourselves. The last reason, and also probably the most influential reason as to why we decided to take things slow with our home build, was the state of our current home. The reality was that at the time, while we were starting to outgrow our current home, we didn't need to move right then and there. There really isn't anything wrong with this home. Are there some things that frustrate me? Absolutely. I think there's going to be with any house. Even in the new house, I'm sure there's going to be things that will frustrate me over time. But this is really a roof over our heads. It's a place for our kids to play and make memories, and it's been the foundation for our family. There was no reason that we needed to rush out of this stage of life just to get to the next. Now, we were so grateful for the home that we do have. We knew that if we were going to stay, we did have to make some changes. We were sort of living in chaos, definitely running out of storage, and there were some things that we needed to do in order to make this home a little bit more functional for our family as we were continuing to grow and evolve. Our kitchen was begging for more storage. Our kids were having a hard time sleeping at night because they were sharing a room, more so that they were just playing at night. So we made the decision to invest in our current home by turning a closet that we have in our kitchen into a functional pantry, and it's made such a difference in our day-to-day life. We also started to just focus on downsizing our life. donating or selling things, getting rid of things that we didn't need. And eventually we also ended up rearranging the entire house. Kids had their own rooms, we shuffled around where my office space was located, and then the kids were able to get a play space in the basement. And then of course, after some super necessary and easy updates that we were able to make on the house, our focus really started to shift towards paying it off. We had a big goal of trying to pay off the house within 5 years. And I'm happy to report that this was something that we were able to do. And it's something that we are so proud of. Honestly, one of our biggest accomplishments to date. I've always had sort of this debt aversion where I really don't like to take on debt. I don't like having debt hanging over my head. And paying this off was a huge weight off of our shoulders. Let me know if that topic is something of interest to you, because honestly, I'm an open book and I'd love to share our experience of how we did it. It may not look the same as others, and we definitely don't have the most expertise in this space. We didn't have some super crazy strategy or fancy method, but if my experience can help you, I would be happy to share it. Now, after I've yapped about all those things that sort of slowed down our journey, let me tell you about why it was actually the best thing for us. Now, this all might sound like we had this super well thought out plan of we were going to wait 2 years to build our house and tackle these 3 key areas, but spoiler alert, we didn't. We had no plan. I will never forget the night that we came home from a meeting with our architect, and we decided in that moment, we're going to stay in this house for a few more years. We're going to pay it off, and we're going to make some updates. We literally ripped the closet doors off of the pantry that night. Decisions really weren't super thought out. There was just a lot of small signs that led us to say, what are we doing? Why do we need to rush? There's no reason for it. In hindsight, slowing down really has allowed us to just breathe. We had time to clean up our property. We were able to enjoy it in the process. And it's also really allowed us to plan what our future property will look like. If we would have rushed into things, we would have been here thinking, oh, we're going to put the house here and we're going to put a garden there and we're going to put trees there. And really, we've shuffled and changed our opinions on a lot of those things over the course of the last 2 years. And now we really have a good, clear picture of what the vision of our property will look like. We're beekeepers, I'm a photographer, so those have held a lot of weight as we've been making these decisions. We've already planted apple trees on the property. We plan to plant some pear trees this spring. And then my hope is that we can get some peach trees out here, but I don't know exactly how they will last in the Wisconsin weather. So to wrap things up, looking back, we are honestly so happy that we did what we did. Taking it slow can be one of the best decisions that you can make while you're building your custom home. Now, I know it can be really hard to wait because that shiny new house could be just a few months away, but if you can just take a little bit more time to be a little bit more intentional and confident in the decisions that you're making, set yourself up stronger financially, you're going to be in a much better position. So those are really the 3 big reasons as to why we haven't broke ground on our dream home yet. We really have just focused on getting things in the right place at the right time for us. And if you're going through a similar process of deciding whether or not you should build now or wait until later, I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into why waiting might be the right choice for you. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here. We'll be sharing more about our build, our property, and how we're making this dream a reality one step at a time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.